Hello everybody, good morning, and let's get ready to go on the United stand this morning. Lots to go. It could be here we go for Manchester United. See what I did there? We've got big updates on De Ligt from David Ornstein. We've got big updates on Ugarte. We've also got big updates on the latest with Zirkzee. It's go time for Manchester United. Zirkzee and De Ligt out of the Euros, and Ugarte, unfortunately, out of the Copa America. I really wanted Uruguay to at least hit the final with some of the football they've hit, but it could be massively positive news for Manchester United. We've also had official announcement in relation to Rene Heck, the go-ahead Eagles manager that we know is going to join Manchester United. Literally, this has just been confirmed by an official statement from Go Ahead Eagles saying that after 2 seasons, the collaboration between Heck and Go Ahead Eagles comes to an end. Heck has been active as head coach since 2022, but he is now leaving and has been announced as Manchester United's new assistant coach. So we knew that was going to happen. Very, very good. But we're here to talk about transfers. And let's start off with where we're at. Could we have here we go with Joshua Zirkzee today? I certainly think so. Remember, the updates all week have been imminent. But there is a very big update I want to start off with here about De Ligt. And I don't know whether, look, I don't know whether to get concerned about this or whether it's just part of the process. So I don't know whether anybody's seen this on the United Stand Twitter this morning. But I think that we do need to take notice of this. As things stand, Manchester United are working on this De Ligt deal. I think some of the reports saying that a fee is close. My information is that it's not necessarily accurate. This is from David Ornstein. Words from David Ornstein. Reports saying that a fee is close. My information is that it's not necessarily accurate. I don't want to sound any alarms, but as things stand, it is something Manchester United continue to work on. I don't have any sense of it being imminent, about to be done and announced. So those are big words from David Ornstein. As things stand at the moment, I have no indication that Manchester United are close to announcing a deal for De Ligt. Now, that might fan the flames of some people who are saying that maybe we don't want De Ligt, maybe we want Yoro and Branthwaite and we're holding off on that. But I don't think that. I think this deal will still happen. And as Fabrizio has said many times, De Ligt only wants to negotiate with Manchester United. De Ligt's agent is only negotiating with Manchester United. So I personally think that obviously, De Ligt doesn't sound like it's going to happen very quickly. But even David Ornstein himself said, you know, the way the world works, I've said that. And in the next hour, there'll probably be, I don't know where he said the next hour, but it'll probably go and get announced as a Manchester United player. Because we know that the personal terms, we know that the requirement and desire is to come to Manchester United. And we know that the fee is the issue here with Bayern Munich. So it could still escalate very, very quickly. My personal feeling is that Manchester United by Saturday will certainly have, well, I've said certainly now, so I've got to quantify this. We'll certainly have one here we go by Saturday. I'm absolutely convinced because there's nothing stopping it now. Like, especially with Zirkzee, I think that one will happen. But obviously, I think with De Ligt, we've got to be a little bit on the patient side because negotiation of the price with Bayern Munich. And look, I know we want the world to be different and I know we want the world to be new, but Ineos can only do so much. You look at some of the transfers of the past, they took weeks. Sancho, Maguire, Pogba, they took weeks to do. And I think that as much as Manchester United might want to get this done quickly, if Bayern Munich don't want to move quickly, then we can't get that deal done quickly unless we pay them ridiculous amounts of money. So I think with De Ligt, obviously you want to get it moved quickly, but I think the overarching thing I was going to say this morning before the updates, and we've got quite a lot of updates to go through with you this morning. There's one on João Neves actually, and a few other bits, but I think the big thing for me is that seeing the Dutch go out against England last night, waking up this morning and seeing that Uruguay have gone out, that is a big boost for Manchester United if their intention is to sign Ugarte, De Ligt and Zirkzee, because those 3 players now are going on holiday. That they're entitled to their 3 whatever weeks holiday. So they're going to go on holiday now. They're not part of the Dutch camp or the Uruguay camp preparing for a final on Sunday. So they'll be packing up this morning. They'll be leaving, shaking hands with the coach and not the bus. I mean the manager, and the players. And by midday, they're going to be left to their own devices with no one telling them what to do. They won't have Ronald Koeman saying, "I don't want you announcing that you're signing for Man United while we're still in the Euros." So by lunchtime today, Zirkzee is speaking to his agent saying, "All right, what's going on?" And the same will happen with De Ligt. Now, Staffy makes a great point. For Uruguay, they've got to play a 3rd and 4th playoff. They have, admittedly, they have. I'd forgotten about that. So there we go. I'm not worried about that being exposed on that. They have, but also 3rd and 4th playoff isn't the same as playing in a final, is it? It's an exhibition. So I think that Ugarte probably isn't as advanced anyway. But I certainly think that with Zirkzee and De Ligt, by lunchtime, they're heading off on holiday. If you're heading off on holiday, you're going to be on to your agent saying, "Look, I want this sorted." And also, what might be a factor here is that, and nobody's mentioning this, but we will, is that if you did Here We Go Zirkzee today, and you get him to fly from Germany to Manchester, and you do the shirt and everything, you can do official announcement by early next week. But you can't do that if he jets off to Dubai or wherever. So there might be an urgency here. And this is the great thing about having the community that we've got and the experience that we have over the years, is that not every player jets off on holiday. Some of them will come and do the medical now instead of going on holiday for 2 or 3 weeks. So look, I'm not saying that necessarily will happen, but that can happen. It could be that Zirkzee leaves the German camp, comes to Carrington, does his medical, holds the shirt up, and then goes on holiday. In which case, things are going to move really, really quickly. But even if that doesn't happen, I still think you can have your Here We Go. And there's nothing really stopping United doing the Zirkzee deal now. Like, he wants to come to United, and it really is just about how we agree the deal with Bologna. Look, I'm reading the chat. I saw the chat last night. Zirkzee was crap in both times I saw him for the Dutch, but I would say there is a 3rd place playoff in the Copa America, Jim, not in the Euros. He didn't anywhere near give a good account of himself in the time that he was on for the Dutch last night or the other game. But I don't take any notice of it. I saw people saying he looked really uncoordinated, his touch looked bad, he looks like he was a championship player. And I think all these things are really unfair. Like, you know, he's not... You need to see a player a lot more than 5-minute cameos for the Dutch who are desperate. Like, I don't take any notice of that. I take notice of the fact that he had a really good season with Bologna. He's been well scouted by Manchester United, and I'll say it again about Zirkzee. We are not bringing in the finished article. We are bringing in a player that is going to need patience. And if we've got people in our fan base that are expecting us to bring in Erling Haaland or prime Thierry Henry, then, you know, we need to call those people out. The same way we need to call out these people who just want to be negative for negative's sake. He's going to be a work in progress. I don't think he'll start ahead of Rasmus at the start of the season. I just don't see that. I mean, if he did, great, but I don't think he will. I think he's going to be somebody that's going to have to adapt to the pace of the Premier League. And, you know, honestly, I think this is why Rasmus did such a good job last season, because what you want to do is you want to have Anthony Martial fit at the start of last season, and you want to feed Rasmus in gradually. And we couldn't do that. And I think with Zirkzee, he will benefit from, you know, being fed in gradually without the patient. So, exactly, as Pret says, a couple of minutes shouldn't even be considered a cameo. It's not enough. Rob Howe says, I hope De Ligt comes to United. I think the partnership of him and Martinez will be class. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Rob. Jay says, you look great today. How are you feeling after last night? Look, all I'm going to say about last night is we are absolutely blessed to have a player like Mainu at Manchester United. I mean, we wax lyrical about players in the past, Marcus Rashford, Mason Greenwood, you know, from the youth I'm talking about here. This guy, a year ago, didn't start the season for Man United. I mean, this guy didn't play in August, September, October. He came into the team in late November. He's in a Euros. He's England's best player. Like, he's just so neat and tidy. That's the thing about Mainu that just stands out. He just doesn't lose the ball. He made a brilliant interception in the second half yesterday. I think the Netherlands had a 3v2 and Gakpo tried to play it across to the back post. He wouldn't have been one-on-one. Mainu just broke up the play. No one even said anything about it. I just think he's made Declan Rice look average, and Declan Rice is a bloody good player. He's immaculate with his passing, his positional sense. I think Mainu just, you know, if Mainu was playing for Brighton, everyone would be bidding £100 million for him now. He's a Man United player. He's 19 years of age. I want England to win the Euros on Sunday, and I want Mainu to have a month off. I think that's the most important thing. But yeah, just absolutely incredible player. And it was a very important interception to his Raptor. But for the second game in a row, he's been England's best player for me. And yeah, I just think he's just been absolutely amazing. And maybe the world are waking up to the talent that we've got. But I would agree with G-Man that he's England's key player. Like, Bellingham doesn't really work in that system. Foden's in and out. Kane's been dreadful. Rice has struggled. We don't get the ball to Saka enough. Mainu is the key player for me. And against somebody like Spain, he could be the guy that gives us a chance. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Going back to the news, Ojogo, just talking about the midfield, by the way. Ojogo, which is a Portuguese outlet, just a bit of an update that you might not have seen. They're reporting that Man United have left the race for João Neves, leaving the door open to PSG if they want to pursue it. It goes on to mention a lot of the things we're already aware of with regards to people are saying to me, was it a penalty or not? And look, I'll talk about that in a moment. This is the United stand, but I also know that a lot of people who watch the United stand aren't necessarily England fans. Funnily enough, in England, there's a lot of Man United fans who are English, don't like England. Liverpool, it's even worse. There's a lot of Liverpool fans who don't acknowledge England. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know whether you like that in your country, but you will find a lot of people in England who don't even like England, the team. It's a weird thing, but look, let me talk about this. So, their reports from Portugal, from Ojogo, are that Man United have left the race for João Neves, leaving the door open for PSG. The reasons Man United have left the race is because of many of the reasons which we've always been suspicious of. How do you negotiate with a club that wants £100 million? You don't. The price is ridiculous. Man United have a huge interest in João Neves, but we can't do anything about it. You know, we can't do anything about it. And I think that I would like Manchester United to be making a signing like that. But on the other hand, you know, I'd rather we weren't wasting time on deals. What's happening with Lenny Yoro? Was it a penalty? Okay, very, very quickly. No, wasn't a penalty for me because, well, if we're going to give penalties for that, then we're going to have to give 50 penalties a season. Was it a foul? Yes. Was it a penalty? No. People will say, well, if it's a foul, it's a penalty. That's not how things work. We all know fouls outside the box get given that don't get given in the box. But the reason it's not a penalty is because defenders have last-ditch tackles. And as long as the striker gets the shot off, you're having two bites at the cherry. Kane took the shot under no influence of that foul. He gets the connection after his shot, so he gets two bites at the cherry. It's not a penalty. And anyone who says it is a penalty, well, when have they been given before? And this is the problem we have in the Premier League. They hide behind, well, look, he kicks his foot, but then the reality is they don't get given. So why have they been given now? So for me, it wasn't a penalty. And that's why I was so glad that Watkins scored the legitimate goal to win the game, because that was pure class. Let me talk to you about Lenny Yoro, because a few people are talking about that this morning. Yoro is one of those that the longer it, you know, speaking to somebody about this yesterday, the longer the Yoro thing goes on, the better potential Manchester United potentially have, in the sense that if he wants to go to Real Madrid, then the feedback to Man United should be quite quick. I'm not interested. And then United move away and we get updated. But what we know is that 2 days ago, Man United put an official bid in for Lenny Yoro that Lille have accepted. And we're now in this position whereby what's the next update? And we've not had one for 48 hours. So is Yoro speaking to Man United through his agent, seeing if anything can go on? Or is Yoro waiting on Real Madrid to see if they're going to react? And if they don't react, he's going to come to Manchester United. We already know what Real Madrid's reaction is. They won't pay what Man United have offered, and they will wait till the end of August and make Lille take their bid, or they'll wait till next summer and take him on a free. That's the stance of Real Madrid. So what's the delay from Yoro? He knows that Real Madrid are going to wait till the end of August. Do you want to wait and see if that works and spend potentially another year at Lille? Or do you want to come and do Manchester United, who are ready to take you now? So I expect there to be an update on Yoro, but the fact that he's waiting maybe is a positive for United, because what is he waiting on? You know, the information is there, Real Madrid and Manchester United. So, or is he waiting for someone else to enter the race? I don't know. But I think it's, I don't think we're far off being in a position where we can move on and find out what's happening with that. But yeah, going back to what I said at the start, I genuinely think that the Joshua Zirkzee situation should move very, very quickly, because Manchester United have got everything in place for him. And I would say that if we look at the hotter meter, which we haven't updated, but that's probably about right at the moment. Where we are at the moment, that's probably about right. I would say Ugarte and De Ligt aren't as hot as people think they are, and Branthwaite's still in the equation, and Zirkzee would be the hottest one going at the moment. So let's wait and see how quickly that gets done. Morning, Mark. Long shot, but do you think we could be moving to a 3-5-2 as we're linked with lots of centre-backs and strikers? Appreciate the video, says Scott B. Look, never say never on a formation, but look, if you want to add another centre-back in, you need 6 good centre-backs, because imagine you're playing a 3-5-2 and you play Martinez, De Ligt and Yoro. One of them's playing badly, one of them gets injured. Who are you going to play? Maguire and Lindelof? Luke Shaw's going to have to be your left wing back. I don't see us going to 3 centre-backs or a 5 at the back, because, you know, we go from last season where we didn't have enough centre-backs for a back 4 to this season where we won't have enough centre-backs for a back 5. So I don't see it, but on the other hand, you never know. David says, forget Neves, we have Mainu and Bruno. We just need a robust engine like Ugarte who will fight for every ball in his zone and can single-handedly hold the midfield, says David. Morning, Mark. For me, England is the worst team in the Euros, regardless, players and quality. Potential, just awful. That was even worse than watching United last season, says Dark Moon. Oh, mate, I completely agree with you. I listened to the radio this morning. Absolute crap. You know, we all owe Southgate an apology. I think he owes England an apology. I mean, fucking hell. Bellingham overhead kick with 40 seconds to go against Slovakia. Saka goal out of nothing. Watkins goal out of nothing. And we're meant to apologise to the coach. This dickhead could have been managing England. Could have been managing Man United. And Ineos are probably still thinking he's the right guy. He's took him to the final. There's depth to this game. You know, he's been very, very lucky. And with such a good selection of players. I mean, I would say this. If he hadn't stumbled on Mainu, England would already be out. Any news on Casemiro, says Mac. There is some news on Casemiro. It's on the list, actually. There is some news on Casemiro. Saudi talks continue, and there is something going on around Saudi Arabia in the next week that will start to move forward a lot of deals. I think Edison from Man City is expected to be announced in the next week. And what they're basically saying is that should be a bit of a domino effect in relation to other deals. I think with Casemiro, it's a very easy update, actually. He either goes to Saudi Arabia or he stays at Man United. There's no other option. Like we can't afford to
loan him out and pay half his wages. That would be stupid, and no one else can afford to buy him. So it will be Casemiro to Saudi, or it will be Casemiro staying. But there's a lot of players who are training with Manchester United at the moment. When you look at the pictures, Casemiro's training at Carrington, Maguire, Lindelof I think is there as well. Certainly Wan-Bissaka. You know, that's 4 players there where you wouldn't be surprised if all 4 leave. You'd certainly expect 3 of them to go. So whilst we're back in pre-season, it's a bit of a weird mix at the moment, because a lot of the players that are back in training that are senior players are players that we're going to probably look to move on. Any chance we go for Watkins? Wishful thinking, says Steve. I would love Manchester, Man City, Chelsea, Man United. He's going to score a lot of goals. But quite rightly, they are going to... what's happened to my thing? What's going on? Quite rightly with Ollie Watkins, they're going to... Aston Villa are quite rightly going to demand £100 million. So I don't see him going, if I'm being completely honest. I don't see anybody being able to afford to take him from Aston Villa, which is great for Aston Villa. It's good for the Premier League as well, but he's a brilliant player, and last season especially he was absolutely superb. So I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, that he wasn't going to be leaving Aston Villa anyway, but things like last night don't make it easy. NB says Ornstein said that there's 2 days that 2 days ago on the podcast we want Everton man over De Ligt. I don't believe in this though. Look, you know, huge respect for Fabrizio, huge respect for David Ornstein, but I don't think they get absolutely everything right. And I mean, I don't really understand what that even means. Like, Man United want Branthwaite over De Ligt, because I would sit there and I'd say, well, Branthwaite is inexperienced, young, left-footed centre-back. De Ligt is experienced, right-footed centre-back. They don't they're not the same thing. It's like comparing your dessert with your starter. They're completely different courses. And Branthwaite will not be playing next to Martinez as our right-sided centre-back. De Ligt will. Branthwaite is a good signing with different skills. So we might be prioritising the Branthwaite deal ahead of De Ligt, but we're not. And Ornstein never said this. I think what Ornstein's talking about is that we're prioritising Branthwaite over De Ligt, which we clearly are, because we bid for Branthwaite before we bid for De Ligt. But it's never been put out there that we want Branthwaite, and if we get him, we won't go for De Ligt. That's never been put out there. So, yeah, that's what I would say about that, NB. Any chance we go for Watkins? Double D says, we've had so many crap transfer windows that there is a fear factor with fans. New regime now, different approach, and the guys at the top know what they're at. Things will happen soon. Spoon. Thank you very much for that. And Rick says about Jonathan David, what a class act he is. Well, I don't see us going for another striker. I think once Zirkzee's in, that'll be it. But Rick says, I wish we'd followed up with Jonathan David. He's a class act. I think he was certainly on the list, but he's not a player that we're going to look at. I mean, it was interesting talking about Calvert-Lewin yesterday, talking about Ivan Toney, but we know we're going for Zirkzee. And if we get Zirkzee, you know, done, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, then I don't think we'll do anything else with a striker. That's sort of my feeling on it. Dennis says, Jonathan David is horrible. Ugarte should be done quickly, says Mark. Man United fans are soft. Timing me out for honest comments is the game. Stuff Branthwaite and get De Ligt, says German Sniper. Any here we go today, says Cal. Well, I think that we can all take a bit of a guess, but what Fabrizio said on here on Monday and what he said, you know, on X and other outlets is that with Zirkzee, it's an imminent here we go. Like it's literally, it can happen at any time. And yeah, look,
it might not happen till early next week. There might be reasons for that, but I feel that the Dutch going out of the Euros, the fact that he now needs to go on holiday, I think it's in everybody's interest that we just get it, done. And then he, because you don't want to be on your holiday waiting to see what's happening, do you? You want to get on with it. Korshik says, you bring up a good and worrying point. Most senior players training now may play pre-season, but may not be there for Fulham. I hope we get signings done ASAP, says Korshik. And Abhijit says, people aren't giving enough credit to Ten Hag for Mainoo's development. Yes, he's a great talent, but nurturing them is a very tough job. Excited to see such a young squad under Ten Hag. You know what? That's a great point by Abhijit, and it's certainly something that our press and media will not acknowledge because they're idiots and they're bitter. I'm telling you now, like the amount of praise they try and give Southgate for this England team, who are all exclusively brilliant players away from England, and they try and make out like Southgate's created this amazing team, which plays shit, by the way. But you very rarely see anybody mentioning, what a great job Erik Ten Hag's done with Mainoo, which started on the pitch after we won the Carabao Cup over a year ago, and he's gradually brought him into the team. He's known where to test him. He's known when to take him out. And here we have this player that's absolutely brilliant. And I very rarely see anybody talking about Ten Hag's involvement in that. And it's great that the player gets a lot of the credit. Of course it is. But there is a part to be played by Ten Hag, and we don't see it. Or we don't see it acknowledged, really. Going back to what was said about the worry about players playing against Fulham, the season doesn't start for us until the 15th of August, which is on a Friday. De Ligt and Zirkzee and Mainoo and Shaw and Ugarte, if they sign, will be back in training with Man United by the latest the 4th of August. So they have 10 days before Fulham. They'll miss the US tour, yeah. They'll miss some of the pre-season, but they will come in ready to go, and they will be in the matchday squad for Fulham. There would be no reason why Kobbie Mainoo or Luke Shaw or De Ligt couldn't start against Fulham if they train on August the 4th. What would happen is they'll do some training on August the 4th. They'll be on the bench for the Community Shield. They'll probably play half an hour, and then they'll be ready to go against Fulham. And we don't play for another week after that. So there's no concerns about Fulham. The concerns are if somebody's injured or if somebody is signed after the Fulham game. But I've got no concerns about pre-season. And if you want to see them playing on the US tour, it's not going to happen. You won't see Mainoo, you won't see Shaw, you won't see Zirkzee, you won't see De Ligt, but you will see them against Fulham. There's no issue with that. And they'll basically start training on the Monday or Tuesday before the Community Shield on the Saturday. So they may well start in that, or at least play half an hour. So I don't think we I don't think we need to worry about that. Alex says that Fabrizio has hinted that Bayern Munich want to finish the De Ligt deal quickly so they can buy Tar. Which international players will be on the tour, says Nick. Rasmus, Bruno. I think Rasmus and Bruno will be there just about in time, because it's 2 weeks today, isn't it? We've got Rosenborg on Monday. We've got Rangers a week tomorrow, and then I think we go on the tour the week after. So I would expect them both to be there. Yeah. Do you have any preference for what deals you want done first, says Patrick, or is it a little foolish to be wanting a priority list of deals being done? I don't really care. I don't know about you lot. I mean, I don't care from that list who happens first, as long as they're all done by that first week of August. It doesn't really matter to me. And I also think that sometimes you've just got to do deals based on not priority. You've got to do deals based on what can be done. And I think that when you look at it, the Zirkzee deal is probably the easiest one to do because we had to hijack it and it's a low release clause. De Ligt's probably a little bit difficult because Bayern want a good price. Branthwaite is very difficult because Everton want a stupid price. PSG and Ugarte is probably quite straightforward. So, I think working on those 4 deals makes sense. I'm very interested to see what we're going to do after that. Where do we go next? We need a left back. I still think we need a winger. Harvey Spector says, left-footed, right-footed, I don't care. In the now, we have Maguire, Lindelof and Evans. We need to start getting them through the door and sharpish, and out the door. And out the door as well. You know, it's not just about getting players in the door. I think you've got to be looking at getting players out the door, especially with regards to, you know, you don't want to be people... You don't want to be giving people... you don't want to be giving people false hope. Like, the last thing you want to do, and I'll use Maguire and Lindelof in this case, they're back in training with Man United. Erik Ten Hag's smiling, Marcus Rashford's smiling, everybody's smiling, and we've been here before. Pre-season, oh, it's so exciting. How many pre-seasons have we seen people overhype a player and go, oh, it's great, yeah, keep them. Oh, keep them for the squad, yeah. You can be very forgiving in pre-season, and then the reality kicks you right up the arse in October. And, you know, one concern could be that whilst Lindelof and Maguire are training with Man United and they're having a good time with Erik, they think, oh, you know what, I'm out. You know what, I can win my place. I'm happy, I can stay. And what you want to do is go, look, we want to sell you. If you want to stay, okay, but look, here's De Ligt, here's Branthwaite. We've already got Martinez, your fourth choice straight away. And you need to get that reality in, because the players that we potentially want to sell will think their position is quite strong when you haven't got the players in. And everybody talks about signing players and getting them integrated into the team and being ready for the first game, and that's the most important thing. But also, the players who you want to go will be encouraged to go more if they see you bringing players in that are taking their place. If we don't have a centre-back by the time we go on tour, then I think people like Lindelof and Maguire will be thinking, I'm doing well on the tour, I can keep my place. And that is where you want to make it very, very clear that this is a new Manchester United. We've got new ideas, and we're bringing in new centre-backs. And yeah, we'll have a laugh and we can all smile at training, but really, we want you to go. Get onto your agent and get moving with it. You don't want to give them false hope. You don't want to give them an avenue to stay. This is exactly what happened last summer. We had the conversation with Maguire. We took the captaincy off him. We accepted the West Ham bid, and we ended up not buying a centre-back. It went tits up. That is a lesson for Ineos. Like, and I'm not just using Maguire. I'd use Lindelof. I'd use Wan-Bissaka. I'd even use Scott McTominay, although I don't think we'll sell him. Get players in early that take those players' place. Show them through your actions that you want them out. Because last year, we asked Maguire to go, but we never brought a centre-back in. And, you know, it was an obvious thing for Maguire to go, well, actually, I think I'll stay then. You know, he saw a gap. He saw an opportunity that, you know, if anything happened to Varane or Martinez, he fancied he could be the third choice centre-back, and he was right. But this season, if you bring in De Ligt and you bring in Branthwaite and you've got Martinez, he's going to see it as, I'm fourth choice centre-back. Can I actually play enough games? Can I get my England place back? Caxter says, how can we have 2 unfinished articles as our only striker? Other clubs don't do this. We're Manchester United. Tony or Watkins with Rasmus for me. Where are you going to find the money for that, though? That's your big problem. Footy King, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much. Akil says, I'm at least hyped for pre-season. Pirlo's time. I tell you what, Akil, it's going to be very interesting with regards to pre-season, because I think when I look at pre-season, I don't see us having any new signing on the tour. I can't. Well, we won't. And therefore, when on tour, what's the thing to get excited about? Because, you know, let's say Marcus Rashford scores 10 goals in pre-season. Great, but it's not. You know, we've seen Rashford score loads of goals, so it's like, oh, he's hot for the season, good. But it's not like, you know, we also know he can go cold. As I said, McTominay plays well, or Maguire plays well. Well, we sort of want to sell them. So I think the exciting thing for the tour is going to be the youth. It's going to be the youth players, and what youth players go on the tour. I think for me, that's going to be the exciting thing. And this often happens after a major tournament. I remember it happening after the last Euros. I can't remember whether we went to Asia for that one. I might be mixing up my years, but I think the exciting thing about the pre-season this year is going to be what youth players are used, Collier and people like that, because we will not have a new signing on tour. Who would go on tour that's a new signing that we're linked to at the moment? Ugarte wouldn't, De Ligt wouldn't. and Zirkzee wouldn't. I mean, if we got Branthwaite done, he's in pre-season training for Everton, so he would. But apart from that, there's nobody that we're looking at the moment. On the colder meter, has anything changed? Well, it has, because Donny van der Beek's gone. Donny's off the list, so we need to update that. Greenwood, I think, would be a Marseille player if it wasn't for the Marseille mayor, who has, some would say, had a mayor, but has come out and been very, very anti the Mason Greenwood signing by Marseille. Apparently, Greenwood's now having second thoughts and may pivot to Lazio. Lenny Yoro would be on the tour as well, Rico. Yeah, I mean, you know, as I said yesterday, as soon as Rio Ferdinand started doing begging videos, I felt that was it. It was over. But you never know. You never know. We'll come back to that in a minute. Glenn C says, I'm worried about the left-back situation with Malacia still missing. We are a sure injury away from no left-back unless Amas has an amazing pre-season. Well, that's the player I'm looking forward to, really, because surely he will play a lot in pre-season, considering Delot won't be part of pre-season. Malacia won't be part of it. Luke Shaw won't be part of it. So we've got to play somebody at left-back. And I think Wan-Bissaka at the moment will be right back on tour, but Amas surely plays at left back. Tony contract nearly up, won't be expensive, says Caxter. Mason Mount had 1 year left on his deal and we paid 55 million, mate. So just do a bit of research before you start making stuff up. It's all right to have an opinion, but you're not right. Like, he's got 1 year left on his deal. Doesn't mean he's going to cost 5 million quid. Like, didn't Hazard go to Real Madrid for 80 million with 1 year left on his deal as well? So it doesn't work like that necessarily. Do you think we're waiting for Barada before announcing incomings? New CEO followed by here we go. Looks proactive, says Harvey. Well, I don't know when Barada starts. Barada doesn't start till Monday, does he? I think. James Paget, thank you very much. Off topic, would United do Sancho for Chiesa plus cash, says MK? Oh, mate, it's not off topic. I mean, it's a topic that I see about 50 times a day. I just don't see any credibility to it. I mean, it's a hypothetical, isn't it? We're not in for Chiesa. There's nothing concrete there at all. I'm not convinced he's the right option. Would I swap Chiesa for Sancho? Mate, I'd probably swap Albrighton for Sancho at the moment. And that says something, because I just don't think Sancho offers anything for Manchester United's future. So I think, of course, I would swap Chiesa for Sancho, but I don't think Man United are going to look at that deal, if I'm being completely honest. Is it true that Cambuala is leaving next season, says AS? Well, he's not signing a new contract, so he might go this season if we want to cash in. But hopefully we can sort something out with that, because I think there's some potential there. Would you take Dani Olmo at Man United, says HR? Well, apparently Dani Olmo's got a €50 million release clause. There was talk that it's not active after Monday, but I think apparently it is. But we don't really... Pardon me. It was late night last night. We don't need a Dani Olmo, really. If you've got Mason Mount, you've got Bruno Fernandes, you've got Ahmad, you don't really need a Dani Olmo. So I look, we've been linked to him for years, but I don't think we need a Dani Olmo, if I'm being completely honest. Mark, I agree with your assessment of Southgate. I think he's an English Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. If he was foreign, the media would have hounded him after the second game. Mate, we're not here to talk about England, Assad, but you couldn't describe Southgate any better than Ole. I think Ole was better than Southgate, but it's pure shit football with moments. Like, England are moments FC. That Watkins goal is out of nothing. Bellingham out of nothing. Saka out of nothing. And we're in the final. And we've had an easy run to the final as well. I just hope we can produce something against Spain, because it would be great in my lifetime to see England win something. Would you be happy if we sign Ugarte and keep Amrabat as backup? I think it could be a smart idea. I think it's time we get a couple of here we goes, says John. Well, look, that's the whole point of the show, really. I think we are going to get a Zirkzee here we go. And I'm hoping it could be any minute today, if not tomorrow. But we're ready to go on that one. And as for keeping Ugarte and Amrabat, the only thing I would say about that... Sorry, as for signing Ugarte and keeping Amrabat, the only thing I would say about that is, and I've said it before, is that if somebody offered me this, you sign Amrabat, you keep Amrabat, and you sign Ugarte, but you've got to sell McTominay and Casemiro, sign him up. Yeah, I would do that. But my concern with Amrabat is that we won't sign him because we'll keep McTominay. And I still, to this day, do not understand what Scott McTominay brings to Manchester United's midfield. Like, he has a very unique set of skills, which are height and in and around the penalty box. Passing ability is crap. Tackling ain't much better. Positional sense, non-existent. He doesn't suit Manchester United's style of football. It's a bit like Harry Kane at the moment with England. He just doesn't suit the way England are playing. And McTominay doesn't suit Manchester United. He has got attributes. He's good in the air, and he's good at arriving in the box, and he's good at finishing. But it doesn't suit the way we play. And if we're going to play a certain brand of football, you've got to bring players in that suit it. And just because he's a nice lad and he's well liked and he's got a six-pack and he scores a few goals, I think we will keep him. But I would move McTominay out and keep Amrabat, definitely, because we've seen from Amrabat, we don't need a number 10, which is McTominay's best position. We've got Bruno, we've got Mount. What we need are midfielders who can do the combative role and pass the ball. And Amrabat can do that better than McTominay. And Ugarte can do it better than McTominay. But I think we'll keep McTominay and we won't take Amrabat, which will leave us very short, because if Ugarte gets injured and we've sold Casemiro, we're back to using Mainu as a 6. And, who's going to be the 8? Mason Mount? We actually need players that can play the holding role, the deeper role. We're really short there, and we have been for a few years. United 1 says, last night BBC reported United losses soared after worst ever Premier League season. I wouldn't worry about stuff like that. It won't stop his spending, mate. Would you be... I've done that one as well. I'm still wondering, says Mohammed, why clubs are overpricing their players whenever Manchester United show up. Legacy, mate. You're always going to try it. Ben John says, what do you think is going to happen with Anthony? I think the best thing for Anthony is just not, is what's happening at the moment, whereby he's just not being mentioned that much. And... he needs a really good pre-season. I mean, Ten Hag always said that Anthony had a good pre-season last year. Then he had all this allegation stuff that sort of meant that he couldn't play for a month, and he lost all his rhythm and confidence. So Anthony with a good... I mean, look, you talk about pre-season Pirlo. We sort of had it last year with... what's his name? Sancho. Remember when Sancho was playing as a 10 last year and people were talking about he can play as a 10, and I was saying no he can't, and people were being abusive, and look what happened. Didn't even play as a bloody bench player. So imagine if Anthony was this season's pre-season Pirlo. And look, realistically, it can happen. I don't think you realise how crap the standard of pre-season can be. Like, you can play Real Madrid and they're 2 weeks behind you in training. And the good thing is we're playing Liverpool and Arsenal, because they will be teams that are around our level of fitness. But, you can play Barcelona, you can play Juventus, and because their season starts a little bit later than ours, their fitness levels aren't as good. You can be playing against good players, but, your fitness levels are way better, and you can absolutely batter people. And people that aren't really good enough for the Premier League will look really good in pre-season. I mean, Jesse Lingard was and Pereira were prime examples of this. So, look, who's going to stand out in pre-season? I think someone like Anthony could be quite, interesting in pre-season. I mean, look, prime example, we've got Betis on the tour. They'll be crap. They'll be absolutely crap, because they'll be like 2 weeks behind us on training. Has Anthony even had a good month, says Sherman. And what do you think about United financials? Don't care. Diallo is better than Anthony. I don't care about the financials, right? I don't want to be blunt and dismissive, but I don't care about the financials, because people get obsessed about the financials and they don't even understand what the financials mean. Man United made record profits, but then made record losses. Man United are £500 million in debt. Man United this, Man United that. Don't talk about it, because the more you talk about it, the more you'll get it in your mind that it's an excuse not to buy players. We are bidding for Branthwaite, we are bidding for Yoro, we are bidding for De Ligt, and we are bidding for an Ugarte. We are bidding for Zirkzee. We are going to get a left back. So what do the financials mean? Why do you care about the financials? We've had 10 years about talking about the financials. We've had 10 years of dividends. We've had 10 years of we can't spend, we can't spend, we can't spend. We need to shove it in the fucking bin and focus on the fact that we're actually bidding for players. So the financials don't make any bloody difference because we are trying to build the football club, whether it's Carrington, the tunnel at Old Trafford, the squad, you know, bringing in Ruud and Reniec. Like, we are spending money, we are making moves. Mentioning the financials is just a negative from the past that we don't need to talk about. If Ineos want to come out and say we can't spend money because of the financials, well, woe betide them. We need to stop talking about the financials and the money that we've lost. We're in a new Man United. I've not heard Sir Jim Radcliffe mention the financials and a reason that we can't buy players. So park it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to talk about the fact that we are going for players. And that is what we're doing. We're factually bidding for players. Where's the 44 million coming from? Put it like this, right? People talk about financials. People talk about the budget. You know, somebody was saying, a particular journalist said, United have only got £50 million to spend this summer. Riddle me this then. If Bayern say yes, which they probably will do, to 43 million for De Ligt, and Everton said yes to 45 million for Branthwaite, and Lille said yes to 44 million pounds, which they have done for Yoro, we've just spent nearly 150 million pounds on 3 centre-backs that we've bid for. Even if we pulled out a one, we've still spent 100 million. Then you've got Zirkzee for 134 million. Then we're negotiating on Ugarte, another 40 million. That's 170 million. Where's this 170 million coming from? It's not coming from anywhere because all those deals are going to be structured like 12 million this year, 12 million next year. Don't worry about the financials. We are bidding on players and we're not going to suddenly go, shit, we've bid on too many. We'll be fine. We're going to get players in and that's what it's all about. Roger says, any news on Malacia? Well, the news on Malacia is that he's not training with the first team again. He's not fully fit to do it. So that's the latest on Malacia. Do you think Mainu will go to Real Madrid? Amy, stop trying to bring the mood down. He ain't going to go anywhere near Madrid for a very long time. So I don't have any thought on it. Why are we not looking for Simmons on loan? Because we don't need that type of player. And I don't think he's actually that good, boss. I think he's a bit overhyped, Simmons. He's okay, but he ain't what everyone thinks he is, in my opinion. And we don't need a player like that. We need to figure out what Mason Mount is before we start looking at Danny Elmo or someone like Simmons, in my opinion. But look, fantastic show this morning. Make sure you smash a like and subscribe. Absolute legends in the chat, as always. We could get a Here We Go today, so make sure you got your notifications on. We're ready for some news. It was very quiet yesterday, as I predicted, because of the England game. But I think there's a lot of journalists with a lot of stuff to drop, and I expect we will get a lot of drops today, especially around Zirkzee, De Ligt, and what's happening with Branthwaite. So prepare for all that lot. We'll be ready on the United Stand. Check out our Twitter account as well. We're updating constantly there. Absolutely amazing community. Thank you, everyone, as per usual. And I'll speak to you all in a little bit. We're definitely back live at 2 o'clock, but obviously if anything breaks in between, we'll be live. Did we get lucky not signing Kane, says James Phillips. Mate, Harry Kane's absolutely crap at the moment, but I'm not buying into this fact that he's a crap player. He's not fit. He doesn't suit the way Southgate wants to play. If you play Harry Kane with 2 quick wingers running past him and allow him to drop in, he's one of the best strikers in the world. If you play Harry Kane behind 2 number 10s like Bellingham and Foden and he doesn't want to run in behind, it's broken and it won't work. Thanks, everyone. Absolute legends. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Take care. Thanks for watching. Let's see what today brings.